I stepped up out of the amount of time I had out the ring. There's another certain heavyweight out there. Buck.
All right, what?
Chicken. Joshua, where are you? Where are you, AJ? AJ!
And the biggest fight out there now is me and Joshua. So, let's make it happen. Stop running away. Stop making excuses. Put your nuts in your handbag and let's get to fight.
So when Tyson Fury called you a silly sausage?
What do you think I felt? But this is one of my rivals.
Yeah.
This is someone I want to compete with one day. So everything he says is like I've got it all stored in the back of my memory. And when the fight happens, I'm going to use it as a lot of fuel.
On you, AJ, Anthony Joshua. Let's give the fight fans what they want. The Battle of Britain. And here's my challenge. I challenge you, Anthony Joshua, to fight me, the Gypsy King, next!
Tyson, I've never had no problem getting in the ring with you. I punched you up when we were kids. And after watching you here tonight, I'll punch you up again.
Over the course of this last weekend, we watched one of the most anticipated boxing matches of the year turn from that to a reminder that this fight is well past its expiration date. 6 years ago, if you asked me what was the one boxing match I would want to get made no matter what, it would have been Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Especially after Fury's second fight with Deontay Wilder and AJ's fight against Pulev. This would have shaped itself up to be the biggest match in British boxing history and one of the history-defining moments for an already historically rich sport. But a few things got in the way of this, the big one of course being the COVID-19 pandemic, which would officially be declared a pandemic only weeks after the second Fury-Wilder match. But the real reason we never got this fight is the same reason why a lot of the biggest fights fall through, and that's boxing getting in the way of itself. After AJ knocked out Pulev, there was truly no other fight to make. I mean, Usyk was there making his way up the ranks, but he was coming off a not-so-pretty unanimous decision win against Derek Chisora. There was no need to rush things. The table is never going to get more set than this. You can only put so many plates and forks on the table before we need the food. And the fight did seem inevitable. Until out of nowhere, Wilder came out demanding a trilogy fight with Fury, exercising the rematch clause in his contract. I know I'm not the first one to say this, but rematch clauses are the worst thing, and I hate them so much. The fact that boxing made this clause the norm in championship fight contracts only means to prevent fights like this from happening. Anyway, Fury tried to say that the rematch clause window to exercise had been expired. They brought it to arbitration, and the judge sided with Wilder, so we got Fury vs. Wilder 3. I will say, in hindsight, I am kind of glad it went this way because Fury vs. Wilder 3 is one of my favorite fights of all time. Watching it live with my friends is one of my fondest sports memories. And it really put the stamp of approval on Fury vs. Wilder being the best heavyweight rivalry since Holyfield vs. Bowe in the 90s. But now all of that contract nonsense is done. It is over with. Now we can do this. And why is AJ fighting Alexander Usyk? Once again, boxing just cannot help itself. If you know, there are technically 4 world championships in any given weight class. There's the WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF. These governing bodies have their own rankings that dictate a mandatory challenger that the champion must fight to retain that specific belt. AJ had 3 of these titles and Fury had the last one that he won beating Wilder. So there was a lot of prestige in these two meeting up and unifying all the belts to have the one true heavyweight champion of the world. Well, the WBO would make Usyk a mandatory challenger for AJ, and essentially force AJ to fight him or get his WBO title stripped. There was really no choice, so AJ accepted the fight and would lose by unanimous decision, losing all of his world titles, which is how it works, I guess, even though he was only the mandatory challenger for the WBO title. Whatever, it's fine. Well, they would rematch right away. AJ would lose again. Now the big fight is Fury versus Usyk. I mean, that is something to look forward to at least, but the fight would take 2 years to make as Fury went into pseudo-retirement. Usyk would beat Fury by unanimous decision, and Fury would claim that the judges gave Usyk the nod because of the Russian-Ukraine war that was happening at the time and is still happening now. Which, invoking that conflict as cope for losing a boxing match is already pretty classless, but it's doubly embarrassing for Fury because he just got bailed out by the judges in his fight with Francis for the sole reason of making this bout with Usyk a fight still worth putting together. Anyway, Fury would balloon up to 300 pounds for the Usyk rematch, probably thinking that, hey, gaining weight helped a lot against Wilder, so maybe it works here, but not understanding that Usyk is fundamentally a different fighter than Wilder in pretty much every conceivable way. Fury would gas out and lose again, but hey, now Fury versus AJ have both lost twice to Usyk. Maybe there are no belts on the line, but we can still get this fight done and it would still kind of make sense, and oh, okay, nope, Fury goes back into fake retirement. Got it. AJ racks up some decent wins, but oh, he just got knocked out by Dubois. Okay, yep. And all of a sudden, it's 2025 and nobody cares anymore. But now we have the last chance for this fight to happen. AJ accepts a fight against Jake Paul, which thrusts his name back into the spotlight. He won by KO, and the Fury fight started gaining some traction again. Fury gets back into the ring with a win, and the end of 2026 seemed like the time we would finally get to see the clash of the two British juggernauts. I do want to acknowledge the car accident that AJ was involved in that took the lives of Joshua's two friends, Sinagami and Latif Ayodele. That of course changes a lot of what eventually unfolded and probably is partly responsible for what we saw on Saturday night. But over this last weekend, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua would compete in their final tune-up match before their fight that is still supposed to happen later this year. Let's start with Fury. Fury fought Marouche Vash, I think? Marouche Vash, a 46-year-old boxer, and now this fight was not televised, which should already say a lot about this matchup, but from what we can see in the phone footage, yeah, this is rough, man. Fury looks slow, he looks old, he's getting hit by these right hands. I mean, it's such a shame because Fury was always known for being insanely fast for a man his size, but he weighed in at 265 for this fight. He looked every bit of 265 in this fight. This is tough. AJ had the opportunity to win the optics battle against Christian Pringa, but would have a disastrous first round, getting wobbled multiple times and getting knocked down twice. And while he would bounce back and get the second round KO, the Anthony Joshua of 6 years ago would not find himself going to war with Christian Pringa. And speaking of that, the Fury of 6 years ago is not having untelevised jobber fights in Thailand. The sport of boxing had a special fight on their hands that would be remembered and discussed for decades after the winner was decided. It truly would have been up there with the greats. But now, our best case scenario is seeing two fighters who are a shell of their former selves make their last big paycheck before either running it back for one more big paycheck or just calling it a career right there. So with all that being said, thanks boxing. Appreciate ya. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and maybe subscribe. Thank you so much.